I'm Kat.
I'm Hayley.
And this is Night Classy, the podcast where two teachers unwind, sip wine, and each teach a lesson we can't teach at school, motherfuckers. What are we drinking, Hayley?
Chateau de Segris. I'm guessing. Tavel 2019. It looks like just straight up cherry syrup.
Yeah, it looks like this bottle, I think, is the prettiest wine bottle we've ever had. We picked it up from High Point Grocery, and like I almost couldn't figure out what it was for a second. Like it was so pretty. It just looked like a decoration.
Yeah, it's like the unicorn of wines, I feel like. Because we were like, is this going to be a rosé? Is it going to be really sweet? Because it just looked like it was going to be sweet.
It looks like grenadine, kind of. Like it has like it doesn't look dark enough to be a red wine, but like it's too dark to be a rosé. It's just like ruby colored and pretty, and the bottle's clear, so it just like showcases this beautiful color of wine, and it's got like a nice ruby red foil on top. It's just like freaking gorgeous, and it tastes good.
It tastes amazing. It has notes of sourness along with cherry and strawberry.
I didn't get any sour. To me, it tastes like water almost, like really, really cold, really good vodka, like how you can't really taste it. Like it just like kind of has an alcohol taste at the end, but like, and then the ending is a little bit sweet and kind of like almost tastes like rose.
I don't get rose from it, but if you do,
I think it's just my imagination because I just associate the bottle with rose because it's so pretty, but I don't know. I got like floral from it.
Ooh, I don't get floral. Yeah, I just took another sip and I get sour from it.
Really?
We need to go on a wine tasting. I mean, I guess that's what this freaking podcast is.
We need to get our taste buds tested because you know how like some people can taste bitter and some can't? Like to me, there's no sour in this. It just tastes like a little like sweet.
That's insane to me because the aftertaste is kind of bitter in the back of my throat.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
Weird. I don't get any of that. It's just like water, like so crisp and clear, and then a little like sweet and florally at the end.
Yeah, so we just differ at the end.
I guess so.
If you're interested, hit up High Point Grocery. It is $20.99 there, $20.99. That is. Their address is 469 High Point Terrace in Memphis, Tennessee.
And yeah, they're an amazing grocery store. They have an amazing wine collection. Definitely if you're local to Memphis and you're like going to visit your mother-in-law or your friend just had a baby, like this is a good gift wine.
Absolutely. Also, I love that they have a ton of local items too, which I really like a lot. So
yeah, I see on their Instagram stories all the time, they get like these charcuterie boards from a local place and they're freaking gorgeous. Definitely if you're in Memphis, check them out. And yeah, we thank them for this wine. God bless.
God bless. Amen.
Amen. Well,
here we are. It's Friday again.
Here we are. I've had the best day ever. I'm in very high spirits. I had an exciting moment in my professional life today, and nothing's been finalized, so I don't want to talk about it publicly yet, but I'm very happy today.
And we're all happy for her. Cheers for Kat.
Cheers for Kat. I'll tell you guys what it is as soon as I can. Sorry to keep you all in suspense.
I know everyone listening right now is like, why would you even say anything?
I know. I just need to share my joy with you all, and you all can be mad at me. Like, I don't really care.
We're close. We're like that with our listeners now.
Yeah, we're friends that I don't tell anything to. Except you guys know about like my horse girl history, so that's fun.
I don't remember when I learned about your horse girl history. I feel like it was several months into the friendship.
Yeah, I don't usually disclose it, but I feel like you guys can handle it. Yes. Without ruining my life, I hope.
You ruined your own life, sister.
Oh, maybe. But you know what? If that's going to be what ruins my life, then I guess I've had a pretty good life.
Worth it? Yeah, that's true. But today was very good for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Preemptively,
I'm very excited. I just need to slap a signature on there and we can talk about it. Also, I'm excited because my mom and my youngest brother are coming to visit us soon.
Who would have thought? Like, I remember in December being like, who knows when we'll return to anything like normal life with COVID.
I know.
But bam, that vaccinated.
Yeah.
Bing, bang,
Vaccines
boom.
for everyone.
Shot. Everybody.
Fuck yeah. So they're coming. And my mom, I was talking on the phone with her today because I called her to tell her my very exciting news. And she was telling me that her and my little brother, who I think he's 9 years old.
I don't know my younger siblings' ages either.
I always
so.
forget. Like 8, 9, what's the difference?
They're a kid.
Yeah, they're a child. And that's funny because like my relatives would sometimes forget how old I was when I was a kid, and I would get like really offended, like they didn't care. But like kids, if you're listening to this, like age stops mattering once you turn 20.
Yeah, but I feel like when you're a kid, that's your whole identity.
Yeah.
Like kids will tell you they're 6.5.
Yeah, like my identity is that I'm 10. I'm double digits, motherfucker. So give me a seat at the adult table.
Yes, my stepmom cried on her 10th birthday because she wasn't going to be single digit age anymore.
What?
Yes.
Oh my God. I wanted to be a teenager my entire life, like leading up to like being past. I don't still want to be a teenager, but like when I was younger, I would fantasize about being a teenager. I feel like growing up in the early 2000s, like, I mean, I guess with most eras, but like being a teenager was like so romanticized.
I feel like being a teenager in the early 2000s was way cooler and way more fun than when we were teenagers, just because it was fun for different reasons. But I feel like that was really the last time to grow up without social media and cell phones being involved.
That's true. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, I'd watch like Hannah Montana and I was just like, oh my God, when's that going to be me?
When am I going to get that closet?
Oh my God, I know. I'd wear her clothes still.
Definitely.
Yeah, they never went out of style. I don't care what anyone says.
Aunt Dolly, hello.
Oh my God, yeah.
I would be her.
Oh,
Maybe
for
I am
sure.
her. You don't know.
You wish.
You don't know.
She's not dead yet. You can't be a reincarnation. Maybe
That's true.
Maybe, and like God forbid Dolly Parton passes away. Don't want
Don't
that.
even
Don't wish
say that. Don't.
But maybe she will someday. We all do. And you'll have a child that will be her reincarnation.
I would definitely name my child Dolly.
Dolly's a badass name.
Yeah.
To be named after a noun, you have to be really cool.
And she has lived up to that.
Yes. Agreed.
Okay. Do you want to hear what? Anyway, moving on. I'm done with that conversation.
Bye.
Okay. So today I have one student in person now, and we had some free time before nap time, and I was like, let me pour some sand into our sand table. Like, this will be fun. I had the student last year. He really liked it. Like, this'll take up the time between now and nap time. And I should have known, like as a teacher, I should have known to like set expectations and to like review the rules of using the sand table.
Oh, no.
I put a cup into the sand table and there's some paintbrushes and other stuff. I put the cup in, he scoops sand into this full cup, turns around and dumps it on the carpet.
He's like a cat.
On the carpet. He is like a cat. And I blame myself because I should have known.
Yeah.
That was a rookie mistake.
That was, but like it's hard because it's hard to remember what it's like to be a kid because he used the sand table last year. So you would think he would know.
Yeah.
But they don't remember. Like I had to teach my middle schoolers this year, like all over again, how to sit in their desk. Like they don't remember.
I know. So much is going on.
Nothing
You're
changes.
a kid, you're 10, then you're 10 and a half. Life just gets ahead of you.
It really does. That makes me think of today. I was like in my room teaching and I had this child like rush into my room from another class and he's like, Miss Hull wants me to ask you if you have a broom.
Did you?
No, I don't know what happened. I hope she found a broom.
A broom randomly showed up in my room sometime over the summer, and I've been like hiding it because I don't want to give up the broom.
Yeah. Oh, hold on to that broom for dear life. That's like last year I got my hands on a doorstop. It was like that shit was made of gold. Yeah.
Yes, literally. And it's really just this busted up piece of wood or whatever. Ours are wood. It's literally
mine
just
was
chopped
rubber,
wood.
but it was a step above.
Bougie.
Yeah, it was a little bougie. And every once in a while, a student would like kick it, and it would like fly to the corner, like not on purpose, but like it would just get kicked to the corner. And I was so defensive of my doorstop.
Like, no.
Yeah, like who put this here?
Don't you
know where it belongs.
ever, don't you
Never.
Disrespect. That doorstop.
I mean, the audacity. But yeah, and now it's gone, and I was lamenting over it today. My door doesn't stay open. It'll stay open a little bit, but it won't stay wide open, and I like having my door wide open. And I was lamenting to Miss Din, the teacher next to me. I was like, I used to have a doorstop. I don't know where it went.
When will my doorstop return from war?
I know.
Wow. Brooms. Doorstops.
I also got excited.
Markers.
Yes, expo markers. I also got excited about a pallet of water bottles being delivered to my room for my students today. So that was also an exciting thing. The things we get excited over are honestly depressing.
I can't tell if it's depressing or if that we should just be grateful that we can find happiness in simple things.
That's true. That's a great way to look at it. I'm so much happier now.
There we go. I'm so happy. You should shine.
Yeah, you turned my frown upside down.
That's what I do. What can I say?
Apparently so. I have one more thing about our haunted house. And I feel a little bad telling this story because, like I said, my mom and my little brother are coming and staying with us in our house in a few weeks. And they listen to this podcast together. And Theo is getting really scared to come stay at our house because we tell stories about the ghost.
Oh, no.
And so, Theo, if you're listening, this is purely for entertainment value. I make all of this stuff up. Wink, wink, wink. But I had this crazy dream the other night where in my dream, I was sleeping and I had a nightmare that I was staying in a house with someone, a friend that was a girl. It wasn't you, but it was like it was you, but it didn't look like you.
You have a friend that's not me?
Literally no, but in my dream I did. And I was sleeping in my dream and I felt someone grabbing me and putting all their weight on me and restricting me. And I woke up and I was like, this must be my roommate because I don't know who else it would be. And so in my dream, I woke up and looked across the room and my roommate's back was to me and she was standing in the doorway and I still felt this weight on me, as if something was grabbing me. And I freaked out in my dream. And then that caused me to wake up in real life. And I was terrified. It felt so real because I had woken up in my dream already. And I was this was the first nightmare in a really long time. As long as I can remember where I was actually woke up scared and didn't want to get out of the blankets. So I was that was weird. I eventually fell back asleep. And then the next day I wanted to tell Alec about my dream. And we were standing in my closet and I told him about my dream. And as I was telling him about my dream, I have a hairdryer up in a bin on a shelf in my closet. And you know how on the end of the cord on a hairdryer, there's a big giant plug-in piece, it's a rectangle. It jumped out of the box and flopped up against it and hit it all by itself.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, no. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was as if a spring-loaded cable shot out and just started dangling.
Yeah, and Alex saw it with his eyes. I heard it and I turned around and saw it kind of dangling there, but he saw it jump out of the box.
You got visited by a succubus, for sure. And then they fucked with your hairdryer.
Maybe. And honestly, fuck with me all you want, but don't touch my hairdryer.
Absolutely not. That is used daily.
Yeah, that's
succubus, more like blowcubus, am I right?
What? Oh, God. That was
hair
good,
dryer.
Alec.
Sorry, it blows hair.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you were making a...
I'll cut it.
Never. Okay.
Can't cut it from the video.
You need to cut it. I keep singing that song. Do you know that song?
Yeah, you need to cut it.
Yeah, your price is way too high.
Yeah.
And Tommy the other day, he was like, you sing that all the time. What the hell are you talking about?
He doesn't know that song.
No, of course he doesn't.
Alec, do you know that song?
Yeah, because you play it all the time.
I don't think I've ever played it for you, but I'll sing it.
Yeah, that's close enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally anytime I hear a verb, if we're chopping vegetables, I'm like,
Yeah.
you need to chop it. And so I finally showed Tommy that song and it's just so repetitive. And it was one of those instances where you just turn it off within 36 seconds of it playing. You're like, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you get the point. Yeah.
And then you think back to all the times you've jammed out to that song.
Yeah, it's a good song. I enjoy it.
I do too.
Yeah.
That's why I sing it daily.
Yeah, you're a big fan. Do you have anything else?
No, let's get into it.
All right. So we breathalyzed. I blew a .018.
I blew a .017.
So we're both pretty sober, but we'll drink more as we go on because this wine is really good. Sorry, I need a sip of water before I start my lesson because this is a big one and I need to be quenched.
Yeah, your voice sounds fucked up, honestly.
Yeah, my voice kind of is fucked up. I've actually been teaching this week. For like 2 weeks, I didn't teach because my students were testing.
Do you want more wine? Do you want to just split the rest?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so this week I've actually been using my voice. And if you guys don't know, talking for 6 hours straight is hard.
Use it, more like abusing it.
Yeah. But anyway, so this is a big lesson. And I want to start this off with a trigger warning. And all trigger warnings are serious, but this one is super serious. There's a ton of triggers in my lesson: rape, sexual assault, rape and sexual assault of minors, torture, violence, child abuse, intimate partner violence, war, genocide. I'm probably missing some. So proceed with caution.
I love how like 5 minutes ago you're like, yeah, my like 9-year-old brother listens to this podcast.
Okay, this is why there are trigger warnings, because they should probably skip this one if you're listening with a 9-year-old.
Skip ahead. Skip ahead.
But either way, it's a fascinating and just wild story. So this is the story of Samantha Sally, the American woman who joined ISIS.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. Have you heard of her?
No, I've heard about some other American man who joined ISIS, but I haven't heard about Samantha Sally.
Yeah. So Samantha Sally was just a normal American woman. She lived in a small town in Indiana, and that's where she raised her 2 young children. She was close with her sister. Everything I like read and heard about, they were calling her blonde-haired and blue-eyed, but in every picture I saw, she had long brown hair. So I don't know. Whatever. I guess it doesn't really matter.
That's just how you describe anyone from Indiana. You
Right.
can just assume, right?
Right. And I feel like a reporter might take some like artistic liberties and like, I mean, if you're trying to describe her as a white, maybe that's what they'd say. But like her friends and sister were like, yeah, she's like, what is a blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman going to ISIS for? And I mean, I don't know. Maybe she like had blonde hair. It doesn't matter. So she also, she had a blue kissy lip tattoo on her neck and a nose piercing. She was described by friends as, quote, an amazing, wonderful, generous person, a really good friend, and an excellent mom to Matt and Sarah. So how is it that this person, who by all accounts was normal, caring, bright, and fun-loving, ended up traveling to Syria and joining ISIS? The answer is certainly up for debate. Before I move on, I just want to give a really quick background on ISIS in case people don't know. It became huge in 2014 and then again in I think it was 2017 with the attack on Paris. But I didn't really know much about it. So I looked it up, and ISIS stands for Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, and it's an unrecognized proto-state that follows Salafi jihadist doctrine. Basically, it's a very extreme form of Islamic extremism and jihadism, which is basically like fighting the holy war. It's been designated as a terrorist group by the UN. The group's been around since 1999, but really gained prominence in 2014 when it drove the Iraqi government out of several key cities and took over. The group is obviously extremely violent. It's known for suicide bombings, spreading videos of beheadings. They consider themselves a caliphate, which is like an Islamic religious state, and claim religious, political, and military authority over all Muslims. Of course, the vast, vast, vast majority of Muslims reject this, obviously, because this is an extreme group.
Yeah, of course. And I feel like it's so common that people will latch on to that extreme side. And that's how you get like fucking Muslim bans.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's fucked. Okay.
Yeah. And if you've never been exposed to an Islamic person and all you ever see about Islam is ISIS, like that's what happens, unfortunately. But yeah, this is obviously not the norm. And like all in all, it's just a very violent proto-state in the Middle East that gained notoriety in 2014, and this is where our story begins. A couple years before 2014, Sam, who had previously divorced her ex-husband, who was a U.S. soldier, began dating a man named Musa El-Hassani. And they met while working together. Musa's family had a delivery company. Basically, they were kind of like a P.O. box for people in other countries who wanted to have their stuff delivered to the United States. Whoa, there was a huge lightning out there. And it was like sometimes a little sketchy. Like the FBI was like keeping tabs on them, but it was mostly like we think it was probably a legitimate business. And Sam started working for them. They really hit it off. Musa was outgoing. The two had a ton of fun together. And within about a year of their first date, they were already married and had a daughter together named Sarah. The rest of this lesson is convoluted. We have a lot of interviews from Sam, so we know Sam's side of the story really well. But of course, there's a lot of scrutiny over her story just because we really only have her side to go off of. And so I'm going to start by telling Sam's story and then talking about interviews of other people and the FBI and maybe casting a little bit of doubt on some of the things she said. So the rest is gray area. Take everything with a grain of salt. I'm going to try to be really unbiased and just give you what I have.
I mean, I'm just like, imagine if the FBI was involved with my life.
Right. Right.
Like that in itself is insane.
Yeah.
Even if you were a bystander of some crazy murder and the FBI interviewed you as an eyewitness, I'd be like, I'm a superstar. Well, I don't want to say superstar, but I'm significant.
Yeah. Yeah. If the FBI like blinks at you, you did something.
Yeah.
Whether it be good or bad, you have notoriety. So here we go. Sam really loved Musa. They had a great time together. He was wealthy because his family had this international shipping business. He showered her with gifts. They both drove nice cars. They had a house. Musa really embodied this stability that Sam kind of craved. She was sort of a tumultuous person, and she and Musa had a great time together. He gave her money, a house. He seemed great. Although their marriage was not perfect, Musa did use drugs. He did cheat on her with sex workers mostly. Sam at one point put like a sign in her front yard that said like, my husband would rather fuck prostitutes than like be at home with his wife and children. Like it said something like that. Like they were a little wild.
Just have another baby. It'll solve all your problems.
Right. Yeah. And he...
What if the neighbor put a sign in their yard across the street and it was like, me too?
They were just like, yes, bitch.
Yeah. Snaps.
Oh my God. But yeah, so
I would be proud of if my friend did that, I'd be like, yeah, like, I don't know.
Really? I feel like that's not good behavior because they didn't split up. They were just fighting.
I didn't say I would do it. I'm just saying that I would cheer on someone else who was doing it.
I would not. I would say, why don't you leave your husband who's doing this and come stay with me and we'll figure out a divorce. Not encourage, just, I think they both kind of got off on the drama. They both really liked drama, and here we go.
I would support them as a good friend too, but also like just get it out. Get it out of your system if you need to in the moment.
I suppose. In middle school, my boyfriend broke up with me. And so me and my friend rode bikes to his house and we drank cans of like Red Bull and then crumpled them up and threw them on his lawn and thought we really did something.
You really did. You really did.
And this has that energy, but like times 1,000.
When I got broken up with in middle school, I posted on Facebook the Fall Out Boy lyrics to like something like you're just a line in a song. And I was like, yeah, you are just a line in the song.
In a Facebook status.
Yeah.
Hayley is ... You're just a line in a song.
P.S. I'm 13 and a half years old. 13 and 9 months.
Don't you dare get it twisted. right, back to this really distressing story. The friends report that there was probably physical abuse as well, and none of the interviews did Sam ever say that he was physically abusing her while they were in the United States, but friends did, so I kind of assumed that it was true. He was also emotionally abusive and very manipulative. However, Sam was caught in this abusive relationship, and she really thought she loved him and was desperate to make their relationship work. So in 2014, when Musa suggested a move to his home country in Morocco for a fresh start, Sam agreed. The move was supposed to be temporary. It was framed as, you're already
Fresh
doubting.
starts do not start like that.
Yeah. Again, this is Sam's side of the story.
Okay.
Yeah. The move was supposed to be temporary, a year where they could just get a fresh start. They were obviously having a rocky relationship, and this was a new opportunity from them. They would leave with their 2 kids, and first they would make a stop in Hong Kong to transfer money to Morocco. Over $30,000 in cash, gold, and precious stones.
Wow. Humble brag.
Right. From there, on their way to Morocco, Musa told Sam that they had a layover in Turkey. And so they went to Turkey, and they'd stayed in Turkey for a few days, and Sam says it was like a romantic vacation. Musa bought her stuff. They went on outings with the kids. It was a fun time. Until they went to a town called Sanlurfa, which borders ISIS territory in Syria. And as soon as they got to Sanlurfa, everything changed. Sam said she was like a prisoner in her own room. Musa didn't let her leave because he said the city was too dangerous. And Sam claims that she didn't think anything was amiss on this trip, going to Hong Kong and then Turkey, until they got to this town in Turkey, this particular town. And then, like, looking back on it, transferring funds through Hong Kong and then going to the Syrian border is a classic way that Westerners will join ISIS. Like, that's the trip. I don't think I'd expect Sam to know that. And she claims to be naive and said that her husband had this kind of control over her that was years in the making. He had isolated her from her family, and she just couldn't see how her husband could be in the wrong. She just blindly trusted him.
It's like Hong Kong is this like gateway drug to joining ISIS, having having that step in between, like, we're not going straight to ISIS territory, but we're gonna make a little stop along the way.
We're gonna take all our money, all our liquid assets, and bring them to Hong Kong and put them in a truck. Like, it's interesting. And so Sam, she says she didn't see this coming, and she was shocked when she found herself and her family at the border of ISIS territory. Her husband was holding her daughter, and she was holding her son, and she says there she was forced to make a terrible decision: save her son and allow her husband to take her into ISIS territory without her, or follow him together as a family. And I have a quote from Sam. She said, "Maybe I would never have seen my daughter again, ever. And how could I live the rest of my life like that?" So she chose to follow. She says that she knows she was being naive because at that moment, she felt like she would be able to go back into Turkey. She felt like this was just temporary and they'd go back into ISIS territory and she'd be able to get out. That's obviously not the case. And I have another quote here. She says, "People can think whatever they want, but they have never been put in place to make a decision like that."
Right. I feel like all the comments, especially like in this podcast in general, like telling stories about other people's lives, like you can say, I would do this or I would do that if I were in their shoes. But that's literally impossible to know.
And with this story, there's just so much, and like we only have so much information that I think it's really difficult to make judgments in any direction.
Right. And clearly she was not well.
Yes.
In many ways.
Yes.
And that's really scary.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't imagine being in her shoes. I probably would do the same thing because at that point she's stuck. And as soon as she was in ISIS territory, like, Sam's relationship with her husband changed even more dramatically. He became extremely violent. He treated her, this is a quote from Sam, like a dog. Musa went to training camp to become an ISIS fighter, and she was put in a home and started like getting adjusted to her life in Syria. Musa worked as a sniper for the front lines of the ISIS military. And so he was gone a lot, literally fighting for ISIS. And when he would return home periodically, he was really violent towards Sam. He would beat her. This is backed up by the neighbors who like say they could hear it, and she was always covered in bruises.
Yeah, like how do you turn that off? You can't come back from active war and just turn the switch.
Yeah, and I don't want to say like people who are in war are automatically violent, but I think ISIS is a different story.
Yeah, I mean, you're the equivalent of the people that, you know, you spend the most time with.
Right, and there's so much brainwashing that goes on like in this type of, I don't even know what, extremist group.
Yeah, and all I'm saying is that like we definitely can't expect him, I think, to just come back like, hey honey,
no, definitely. And he was already abusive before this, but like things really escalated. Sam ended up giving birth to 2 additional children in Syria, and I mean, she started having a life there, though she did try to escape once. She did have internet and satellite at her house, and she sent a message to her sister, Lori. The message read, "I really hope you can help me. Musa brought me and the kids illegally to Syria. I'll have to be forward with you because I don't have a lot of time. Almost every day, 5 to 10 bombs are dropped around us. The shockwaves are insane. It rains shrapnel, everything from rocks to metal sheets to glass shards. This could be my last time online."
I just got goosebumps, chills all over my body.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, imagine receiving that message.
Right.
Second of all, imagine having to send that message.
Yeah. And even worse, she attached a video to the message. And the video was of her son and Musa was coaching her son how to build a suicide bomb and was role-playing an attack on the United States with his like small child who was like 8 years old at this time on how to be a suicide bomber.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. And so Sam's sister, Lori, got this message and she was shocked because her and her sister had had a falling out because of Musa. She hadn't heard from her sister, and to the last of her knowledge, she thought they had been living in Texas. And then all of a sudden she gets this email.
What if her sister was like, I told you so?
No, thankfully her sister like really came through. She called the FBI and the State Department and did her best, but like unfortunately there's nothing they could do. They couldn't just go into ISIS territory to bring back this one American citizen. So this whole thing didn't work out, but ISIS caught on to the fact that Sam was communicating with an American. And for that, she was thrown into an infamous jail called the Black Stadium because they thought she was a spy. The Black Stadium was once a soccer stadium, but the locker rooms had been turned into torture chambers and tiny little prison cells. Sam was held there for 2 months, and I have a quote from her about the experience. "They hung me up from the ceiling by my wrists with handcuffs. They stripped my clothes. They beat me. They electrocuted me in my stomach. I was at this point 7 months pregnant with my son." And we believe that this really happened. Like, we have accounts from prisoners who were there with her that talk about her screaming when they'd beat her that she was pregnant. Like, it was really, really bad. She survived and was released back to Raqqa, which was the city she was staying in, to the home that she shared with her family. Obviously, when Sam got back, she was traumatized. She was over this whole situation, and she was refusing to have sex with her husband, Musa. And so,
yeah, what did he do? What did he say?
I don't know. We don't have anything from him, so we're not sure. He told Sam that if she wasn't going to have sex with him, he was going to, quote, buy a girl. And what he meant was buy a female slave to sexually assault. And this was normal in ISIS society. ISIS had recently captured hundreds of Yazidi people and was selling the young women and children into slavery. So there were slave markets out on the streets where you could go buy a person. And the Yazidis are a religious minority who ISIS committed genocide against. He was telling Sam that they were going to do this, and he framed it like it would be a good thing for Sam because she was so lonely in the house, and bringing in a girl would keep her company. Musa took Sam to a slave market, and there she saw a 17-year-old girl named Sawad. And I have a quote from Sam. When I first met Sawad, I couldn't think about the money. I needed to help her because Sawad was expensive, and Musa told her that like he wasn't going to buy her because she's too expensive. But like Sam had an instant connection with Sawad, so she bought her with her own money. So she bought a slave, and she paid $10,000 US dollars for the girl. This was half of her savings that she had brought from America that she was planning to use to get out of Syria, and she brought the girl home. Her husband soon began raping the girl. He also later bought another girl who was even younger, regularly sexually assaulted her, and they also bought a young boy named Aham. Sam has a lot to say about her participation in buying these children, and she's very defensive over this decision. It's an extremely complicated situation, so I kind of just want to read you quotes from Sam, and it's pretty long, but I want to read you Sam's argument for this. She says, in every house that she was in before, and she's talking about Sawad, it was the same situation, referring to rape, but she did not have the support of someone like me. We constantly talked about going to see her mother. I was going to get her out, and she was going to go back home. No one will ever know what it's like to watch their husband rape a 14-year-old girl. Ever. When she comes to you, me, after crying, and I hold her and tell her it's going to be okay. Everything is going to be fine. Just be patient. I would never apologize for bringing those girls into my house. They had me and I had them, and we knew that if we would just be patient, we would stick together. You understand? In every other situation, they would be locked in a bedroom and fed tea every day. And in the situation I was in with them, we cooked together, we cleaned together, drank coffee together, slept in the same room together. I was their mother.
This is so fucked up.
Yeah.
And looking at that bright side feels impossible.
Yeah, it feels impossible because this... Like, there's so many layers to this. And I listened to a podcast that I will like cite at length in the end of this. And the reporter was playing these interviews with Sam, and he was like saying, I need to hear from these children themselves. And he found all three of them and talked to them and got statements from all of them. So we do have each of their statements, and I'm going to talk about that. So CNN and this reporter found Sawad in a refugee camp in Iraq with her family. She did end up getting reunited with her family, and when asked for comment, she expressed nothing but gratitude for Sam and sent a video message to Sam saying, I really want to see you, even if it's just one last time. I miss you so much, and I miss your children. Anything I can do to help you get out, I will do. I love you so much. And this is touching, but I think we also have to remember this is a child and she went through extreme trauma. And so like, again, this whole story is so layered. It's really hard to understand.
In such dark times, like to live in a traumatic experience for who knows how long,
right?
You know, just latching on to that, you know, what seems like was that person for her who.
Yeah. And I mean, finding comfort in anything you could. Josh Baker of I'm Not a Monster podcast also found Aham, who said he loves Sam. He considered her a mother figure and Matthew to be like a brother. In this podcast, you can hear the interview with Aham at length. He talks very fondly about the family, and he got a similar answer from the third child. I have her name, but they left out her name in the podcast, so I figured they don't want her name mentioned, so I'm not going to say it. But the third child who lived with Sam as a slave, she also expressed that Sam was like a mother to her. So things are extremely complicated. And let's not forget that Sam also had her own children in the home. Her son Matthew was a U.S. citizen, and that made him a prime cast member in propaganda videos that ISIS would shoot. The first time Matthew was approached to do a video, Sam refused after reading the script. Matthew was to walk through a damaged mosque and on the streets vow revenge on Donald Trump and pledge attacks on the West. She tried to refuse his participation, but for this was severely beaten. Sam suffered 2 broken ribs, and this was just 5 days after a cesarean section for the birth of her youngest daughter.
Oh my God, she cannot catch a break.
Yeah, she really, she's literally an ISIS.
Yeah.
So that's why. This obviously scared Matthew into participating. I think he was about 10 years old at the time. And I have a quote from Matthew. He says, "It was extremely stressful and it was hard. I would have to say one word and they would make me say another in Arabic. I never knew Arabic before. I didn't want to do it. He would hit me. He would stress me out, all of those things." He made this video and it was released all over the world. And this is what finally brought like mass attention to this American family living in Syria. Of course, there were also videos of Matthew assembling suicide bombs, assembling weapons, holding machine guns, and this just pretty much continued like this. This was life for them until a drone strike killed Musa while he was in action. Afterward, U.S.-backed Syrian Kurdish fighters had begun besieging ISIS in the city. Sam says, like, when all of this was happening, she was relieved, but she still couldn't flee because there were snipers all around the city who would shoot runaways. Eventually, Kurdish forces were able to defeat ISIS in Raqqa, and Sam's brother-in-law. So this was something in the podcast where the U.S. made like a secret deal with ISIS because ISIS had all these civilian hostages and they were afraid that it would just be a bloodbath and like everyone was going to get killed. So they let ISIS leave the city unharmed in order to take it back. And so Sam's brother-in-law was with her. And so he brought her with ISIS. Even though like Raqqa was liberated by Kurdish forces, like she still had to go with ISIS. But luckily she was able to get the help of a neighbor who actually did help her end up escaping to a Kurdish refugee camp in northern Syria.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, I know I'm not saying anything. I'm just taking this.
It's
taking
a
it all
wild ride. After a really long wait, the family was handed over to U.S. military and flown back to Indiana, where Sam was taken into custody by the FBI.
What?
So we just went through about 2.5 years of her living in ISIS.
2.5 years felt like 10 years to me hearing about it on this podcast.
I know. It's a lot to take in.
Holy crap.
Like, I'll definitely like go into detail citing this podcast at the end. But like, if this is interesting to you, there's a podcast called I Am Not a Monster by the BBC network. That's like a 10 episode series on this. And like, I'm just giving you the cliff notes. Obviously I did other research as well, but
love
like
cliff notes.
Yeah, there's so much to this story that I can't even touch on because there's not time. And so now she's on U.S. soil and the FBI is charging her with several things. Of course, like aiding terrorism, funding terrorism, and then also lying. They got her first on lying to the FBI because remember in the beginning when I said earlier the FBI was monitoring the shipping company, she was actually an informant. Before she even left to Syria, she was working with the FBI, helping them like with anything like suspicious that was being shipped through her husband's company.
She was an informant. And then they couldn't do anything. They didn't even want to try when she was like, help me.
Well, Hayley, they couldn't try. There's nothing they could do.
Yeah, I guess if they're monitoring it. I don't know how the FBI works. I don't know what they can they cannot do.
It was a city being held, but the U.S. can't just march into ISIS territory for one person.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't know what I expected, but
yeah, I mean, it's frustrating when you hear about it. And in this podcast, like he does all these interviews with Lori, her sister, like because he was doing these interviews the entire time, like for years, and so he was alongside Lori the whole time she was like trying to get her sister out, and like it's incredibly frustrating, and it took an incredibly long time, and thankfully like eventually it worked out, but like you can't just they couldn't just go rescue her. That's not how this works.
Damn, this is an onion. You're right. It has layers because, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There's a lot of layers, and it's just going to get even more convoluted. So initially, Sam claimed total innocence to interviewers, reporters, to the FBI. She said she had been taken to ISIS against her will. She didn't know she was going there. She claimed that her abusive husband like trapped her and tricked her into going. A lot of close friends of Sam defend this. They said she would never have voluntarily brought her children to join ISIS. Although there seems to be a dichotomy of people either saying Sam is amazing or Sam is untrustworthy and a liar. Many in her close circle describe her as extremely manipulative. Her own father says half the time you can't tell what's the truth and what's not the truth. Another time, a refugee camp guard interviewed by the Huffington Post UK. The first time they interviewed him, he said glowing things about Sam, said she was innocent. The next time he warned them that she was a snake.
Well,
yeah.
Glowing reviews, both positive and negative.
Yeah.
They're very strong.
Yes. Josh Baker did all these interviews with her friends, and they said, and like, of course, Sam is saying that she had no idea her husband was going to join ISIS, but she told her friends that Sam was being called by Allah to join the holy war, and that he was telling her this and watching videos about ISIS. Like, she knew he was into ISIS. And when pressed on this in interviews, she just kind of says, like, she thought it, like, she didn't think he was serious. And I don't know, it's very convoluted. And she also like said in these interviews, she thought she was moving to Morocco. However, she didn't tell any of her friends she was moving to Morocco.
That's weird.
Yeah. She told one of her friends that she was going to Hong Kong for a business opportunity. She told another friend that she was going to Morocco, but just for a month for vacation. She told her ex-husband that she was going to Paris, and this was so that he would sign her son's passport.
No freaking way.
Yeah, she knew he wouldn't agree to take her son to Morocco, so she told him they were going to Paris.
Oh, yeah, that's bad.
Yeah.
So she knew something was up.
Yeah, I think so. Other evidence the FBI gathered casts a lot of doubt on Sam's story. The FBI claims that she knew her husband's plan to join ISIS, and this makes sense because Sam made several trips to foreign countries and knowingly secured funding and tactical gear. Like, she was going to Hong Kong and buying like high-powered binoculars and like bulletproof vests and like shit you'd need to fight in ISIS. And she knew they were buying this shit. There's also people close to Sam, like her father and ex-husband, that say like she was a thrill seeker and she would do anything for adrenaline. Her dad said she was like a super problem child. She was always doing reckless things without concern of how it would affect others. And her ex-husband thinks that that's why Sam joined. He thought she knew exactly what she was getting into, and she just wanted the thrill and the attention.
That's quite an accusation.
Yeah, a big accusation. And this is
from
also
somebody who like seemingly knows her.
Right. And also like this is her ex-husband. They did not have a good relationship. So, I mean, he could be saying whatever he wants to say.
Yeah.
We just don't know. So this interviewer also interviewed exes of Musa because, of course, he's dead. You can't interview him. And they all say he was incredibly charming, manipulative, and abusive. So they say it's possible he could have convinced Sam to go to Syria. Like, he just had that gift of gab, and he was very attractive and cunning, and you just kind of did what he said. He just kind of like put a spell on you. And maybe Sam knew exactly what she was doing, but was just so like under his power, I guess.
Right. Like, he's like, hey, baby, go on over to Hong Kong, get some bulletproof vests and some high-powered binoculars, baby.
Right.
Like, just call me baby 3 times and whatever you
call
want.
you baby. Baby.
It's over for me. I relate, but not.
Yeah.
Actually.
Please don't relate to this.
No, not at all. This story is again, really fucked up. Like,
Really upsetting.
I wish I could go back in time and be like, guys, the trigger warning she's giving you, like, seriously, it's really interesting, but just skip it.
Take it seriously. That's why I did it. So you brought this on yourself if you're still listening. Again, I think the truth, and this is just my own speculation, I think the truth lies somewhere in the middle. Musa probably was extremely manipulative and abusive and probably did have a lot of control over Sam, but Sam was probably also reckless and liked the adrenaline, liked the drama, and probably was selfish. Like, because it would be one thing if she went over there by herself, but she brought 2 children into something that she must have known was going to be bad news. To be clear, I'm not sympathetic toward her, and I'm about to get into like statements from the FBI and the Attorney General, and then also some statements from her sister. My goal was to be
flip-flop.
Yeah. My goal was to be unbiased, and if it sounds like I'm giving her sympathy, I want to be really clear that I'm not. I just think that this is an incredibly complicated situation, and I'm trying to examine all sides of the story.
Right. There are many sides to this story. So we know what like Sam has told people, and yeah, like you said, we don't know what like the real truth is. So like if she was hung by her wrists 7 months pregnant and electrocuted in the stomach.
Yeah, I think it's okay to like
I can
feel some
sympathize
humanity
with that.
toward her. Yeah. But like this is a terrorist organization. So
yeah. And I think the thing that really gets me is the slaves that they bought.
Yeah.
Their testimonies as to who Sam was to them. And again, you're right. We should take a step back and be like, you know, obviously their conditions were terrible, unthinkable.
She
so
literally
anything is a level up.
Exactly. She literally bought child slaves, and yes, she might have been nice, quote unquote, nice to them, but she still bought child slaves. And yeah, like you said, anything was a step up. That doesn't mean it was good, you know? So yeah, I'm just really trying to present this, and it's difficult to present this because there's a lot.
We don't want to say we're on like one side or the other. In these like very specific instances though, I just like I don't know this girl. I don't know what she looks like. I don't know anything except for like I'm hearing right now. So it's really hard to separate these really specific, like vivid instances, you know?
Yeah.
Right. But when we talk about white supremacists, we're not like, well, we need to be like both sides. We need to really split this down the middle.
Well, I'm not saying there's 2 sides of ISIS ideology. I'm saying this story is convoluted because she did go over there and experience all this shit. And if she really was forced into this, if her story is true, then yeah, I have sympathy for her. But like if she knew she was going to ISIS, then fuck her. Like, you know?
Yeah.
It's just like we don't know the truth. So I'm trying to be sensitive because if she really did have no idea she was going in, like, yes. But
my only point is it takes a lot of steps
to
find yourself and your entire family in ISIS.
I agree. And I think that she is guilty, but I'm just saying that we don't know for sure. This is still very new. She was only even convicted in November of 2020. There's still not a lot of information on this. We haven't had any interviews from Sam since she has been put in jail. And it's complicated. And again, I don't want people to think I have any sympathy towards someone who willingly joins ISIS. Absolutely fucking not. This is just one of those things where we don't for sure know what the truth is. So in November of 2020, like I said, Sam was convicted and sentenced to 6.5 years in prison for financing terrorism. She took the plea deal to avoid a trial, and she admitted to knowingly helping her husband join ISIS and financing terrorism, though in interviews, she like coyly alludes that this was not a real confession, and she just said this so that her and her children didn't have to go through a trial. There's no evidence that has ever been found to show that she actually supported ISIS's ideology. She never converted to Islam or showed any support for anything that they said or did. And I have a quote from the Assistant Attorney General for National Security, John C. Demers. He says, once again, the Justice Department has held accountable an individual who turned her back on her country to support a terrorist organization. And yeah, she did do that. I have another quote from an FBI specialist agent, Paul Keenan. He said, adding to her betrayal, Ms. El-Hanassi willfully chose to put her young children's lives at risk through her selfish actions, exposing them to an atmosphere of violence and hatred. She knew exactly what she was doing and why. She was an active participant in this heinous activity and is now facing the consequences. So again, we don't fully know the exact truth. I lean, of course, more against Sam. I think she did, at least to some degree, know where she was going and why, but she has not admitted to this. But there's weird stuff in all these interviews. Like, for example, when ISIS attacked Paris, the interviewer was asking her how that was and what that felt like, because she was living in ISIS at the time of the attack and when people were celebrating in the street. Mm-hmm. And she kept describing it as that she was embarrassed. She was embarrassed to go outside. She was covered head to toe, because that was the law in the ISIS state. But she didn't even want anyone to see her at all because she was so embarrassed.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's a weird reaction.
Yeah, to feel embarrassed is to feel an attachment to ISIS in that situation and to know that was wrong.
And also just an underreaction. Hundreds of people died. And that's not embarrassing. That's tragic.
Devastating.
Yeah. Please go listen to this podcast, because a lot of the things she says just seem very casual and cold when she's talking about something horrific. And I don't get a good vibe from her. I tried really hard to listen to this objectively. And again, I'm sorry if I sounded too sympathetic toward her. I was just trying not to go too far the opposite direction, because I think she's full of shit. But we can't know Sam's reasoning for sure, whether she was fully coerced or went willingly. Her presence in ISIS helped the group commit atrocities by giving them an air of validity. So, whether or not she meant to be there, she still fucking helped them by being an American face in this terrorist group that they could point to and be like, Westerners are joining our group. We're doing something good. Come join too. And they did that.
Yeah, that representation is huge.
Definitely. And I think Lori's sister said it really well. I'm not going to directly quote her, but she basically said that we need to remember that no matter what Sam went through, she's not the real victim here. The victims are her children and the innocent people in Syria and others who ISIS has targeted. That's the point I kind of want to end on, is that yes, Sam may have been through some horrible shit, but ultimately, whether she was coerced or not, she ended up there, and at least part of it was a choice. And she also put her children through that.
It's crazy how much children take on the plight of their grown-ups.
Yeah.
And it's cyclical, and there's no cure for it.
No.
It's something that's been happening since the dawn of time, but
yeah, it's just ultimately really tragic. And there's a lot of victims here, and I don't think Sam is the main victim, if a victim at all. If you are interested in hearing more about this story, I already talked about it, but there's a podcast called I Am Not a Monster by BBC Radio, and the main reporter and interviewer's name is Josh Baker. He does an amazing job. He travels back and forth from Syria for years. There's tons of interviews with Sam in this podcast and interviews with people surrounding the case. And it's just really, really well done, and definitely go listen to it. I also got information from CNN, Wikipedia, ChicagoTribune.com, PBS.org, HuffingtonPost.co.uk, NPR.org, iNews.co.uk, and Elle.com.
Thank you for opening our eyes to this onion.
Yeah, it's certainly an onion.
She's so thick, make a grown man cry.
Truly.
I'm crying.
Yeah. Thank you for sitting through that learning journey. I hope it was at least interesting. I know it was a lot. Let's hear a word from our sponsors, and we will come back to you anew.
I don't know if y'all know this, but I do yoga. I mean, I'm not a yoga instructor, yogi or anything, but I do it every night along to a YouTube video. And along with my nightly YouTube yoga sessions, I also incorporate Seventh Hill CBD oils. I really enjoy their Rise. That is the counterpart to their Unwind oils. I just drop it into my mouth. You could mix it into your water, I guess, if you wanted to, or even your teas, because they do have teas as well. But it's a routine. It helps me get into the mindset of going into yoga and really being present with myself and with the moment. And it just feels like the best type of self-care, personally anyway. You know, I got my Seventh Hill, I've got my yoga, and then I go to sleep. And the next day, for the last couple weeks, has been pretty darn good, if you ask me.
Yeah, I've been shocked at how well Seventh Hill CBD oil works, because in the past when I've taken CBD, I never really felt the effects, but this is actually like instant. Like I feel like I'm more aware, more centered, more relaxed. Like you guys know, I've been telling you I put the Unwind oil in my tea every night, and I feel like I sleep better and am just more rested overall. These oils have a little tiny bit of THC in them, which opens your receptors and lets you take in more of that CBD and terpenes like scent, lavender if you want to relax. It really lets you feel the CBD and feel centered and focused and accomplish your goals.
Absolutely. And the quality of it is like on 100. I'm telling you guys, I just drop it directly onto my tongue, and the residual smell and taste of it is so fresh. They have everything on their farm is exactly what goes into all of their products. So it's pretty damn good. And that's exactly why we've partnered with Seventh Hill CBD.
Yeah, so if you are interested in joining us as a big, huge fans of Seventh Hill CBD, you can go to seventhhillcbd.com and at checkout, enter our promo code NIGHTCLASSY, the name of this podcast, no spaces, for 20% off your order.
Go do it right now, 20% off. seventhhillcbd.com, NIGHTCLASSY. Promo code.
Yes.
Sorry, I should not have even added that. I felt like repeating it though. I was like, the more they hear it, the more they're likely to do it. All right, welcome back. So this is gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun contrast to your lesson, which was excellent.
Yeah, bring us back up.
This one is different. All right, so first question is for you: what do rabbits, cups, and balls all have in common?
They can be used in magic tricks.
Exactly.
Oh, really? Yay!
Exactly. Yes. Today we are covering the history behind magic and magicians.
Yes, I literally have this one as an option in my notes, and I'm glad you're doing it.
Oh my God. I hope I do it justice.
I hope you do too. I hope I'm not judging you the whole time thinking I could do it better.
Damn, me too. I mean, I typed some stuff and I read some stuff and listened to some stuff. So we'll see what happens.
That's
maybe
3 things.
Maybe I can make magic out of this lesson.
Ooh, are you gonna do a magic trick for us though?
I mean,
Did
that
you
wasn't the
learn
plan, but maybe I could. I didn't say how-tos on magic tricks. I said history.
Oh, you're gonna make that whole bottle of wine disappear down your throat.
Done. Bing, bam, boom. And then this second one we have here is not too far behind.
Yeah.
I don't know if we could
we'll
do it
get there.
tonight. You think so?
I think if we really tried our hardest,
All right.
I think we can achieve our dreams. Everything is possible.
Okay. Shout out to Judea Driscoll. I don't know if you all know her, but she is a comedian who my boyfriend Tommy is friends with. She's from Memphis, but she moved to Texas, I think in Houston. But she tweeted the funniest thing, or not tweeted. She's constantly posting funny stuff on Facebook. But the other day her status was, "It's not your drinking that makes you an alcoholic. It's your promises to stop."
That's true. That's true.
And she's so funny. So you all should like follow her on Instagram. She's fucking hilarious. But anyway, yes, rabbits, cups, and balls are all used in very common magic tricks. So one of the very first pieces of evidence that we have for magic as an art, if you will, was founded in 1823 or 1824. We're not really sure, but we do know that a British adventurer named Henry Westcar found what is now known as the Westcar Papyrus. And this text consists of 5 stories, and one of them is what is considered, again, the earliest evidence for magic or magicians practicing magic. And little fun fact here, this papyrus that this adventurer found is suspectedly stolen from the original founder. This other guy, they think that he stole it and then sold it to the museum that it is now resides in.
Isn't like everything in museums stolen pretty much?
Yeah. Yes, definitely. Like this original adventure definitely stole it.
Yeah.
But he definitely, Henry Westcar did not gift it to this museum that it now resides in.
Okay.
But let's take a closer look at this Westcar papyrus. So out of the 5 stories, we're going to look at the story of Houdini. I don't know if that's exactly how you pronounce it, but that's how it was pronounced in one of the videos I watched. Houdini. But he also had an accent, so who knows? We're going to roll with it.
There's some Houdini in this house.
There's some Houdini in this house. Houdini is the son of the pharaoh Khufu. Okay. And him and his father become acquainted with a magician named Deity. Deity is said to be 110 years old. Also, he can eat 500 loaves of bread in a sitting.
Wow.
He can eat a shoulder of beef in one sitting.
Are these the things he's like... First of all, I'm 500 years old. You like that? Guess what else I can do? Eat 500 loaves of bread. And you like that? You'll really like that I can eat an entire cow.
Right.
Isn't that hot?
Let me level up for you. Level up. If you're impressed by that, you're going to be impressed by this next part. And that would be that he knows how to reconnect a severed head.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
He really is a man of many talents.
He's a magician. One of the first, I might add.
Wow.
In addition to that, he can make a lion walk behind him. He cannot be the prey of a lion, but he can make a lion walk behind him.
Does the lion appear, or can he just like train lions?
I think he can just train lions. And then there's this other part where it's said that he knows secrets about some chambers in Egypt. And in the research that I did, honestly, I had really no clear idea exactly what secrets he knew about which chambers. But
he probably literally just said, I know secrets. And everyone was like, well, this man can eat 500 loaves of bread. We have to believe him.
Give him the bread.
Yeah.
I mean, I could probably eat 500 loaves of bread.
Really?
It might take like 24 hours.
I'd like to see that. I will pay for 500 loaves of bread for you to watch you eat them.
It has to be Cheesecake Factory bread, though.
Okay.
With their butter.
With the brown bread?
The brown bread.
Yeah. Good.
Yes. It
with
has
honey
to be
butter.
that. With honey butter.
Yeah.
Whipped honey butter. I will
Yes.
not take unwhipped.
Oh, absolutely not. And it has to be room temperature.
How else are you going to spread it on the bread?
Right.
You're not.
You're not.
You're not going to.
Unacceptable.
Thankfully, Hordadov did not have to deal with this atrocity of room temperature warm bread.
Butter.
I guess is bread and butter, both of them. So he got a bit of attention from his like magical abilities. And when Khufu, I keep trying to say Khufu, but it's Khufu.
Khufu.
Pharaoh Khufu's son, he's like telling him about this guy that he heard about, Deity. And Khufu is like, seek out this magician so that you can learn the secrets of these chambers so that I can make one for myself. You know what? Better yet, bring him to me. So Hordadov sets out with his crew to bring this magician back to his father. They set out on boats. They have to travel quite a while, but he does find Deity. And Deity is laying out on a mat outside of his house, and there's an assistant holding up his head, and there's another one rubbing his feet.
Wow, it's good to be a magician.
So if I'm going to eat 500 loaves of bread, you better be holding my head and you better be holding my feet, because
Alex nodding like he's going to do it, but I'm not. I'm not going to do that.
I mean, you already signed on to pay for 500 loaves of bread. Yeah. What won't you do?
I don't like touching people. I don't want to touch your head.
That's true. Get me a sling. Give me like a scarf you can hold up. That way you can sit and hold it. You have to exert some sort of effort to me being comfortable.
Okay.
You have to.
I'll make your bed for you.
No, that's not direct enough. I'm Deity. You are you.
I will heat up the honey butter for you.
The room heats the honey butter. It's room temp.
Oh my God. Well, I don't know what you want from me because I'm not doing any of the things you want me to do.
We'll circle back then because we have to come to some type of agreement because clearly this is going to happen.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, they found Hordadif outside of his house just chilling. Not Hordadif. They find Deity outside of his house just chilling. And Hordadif is like, hey, man, you're like blessed by the best. Come back to my house with me. And my dad says that he'll like hook you up. Like you'll eat the best. Your ancestors will be set. You know, like you'll change lifetimes if you come back and hang out with us.
Yeah.
So Deity is like, all right, that sounds good. Hordadif gives him 2 of his boats along with her crews, and they sail back to Giza. Upon arrival, Deity is ushered to the pharaoh, and Khufu is like, so what's up with you anyway? Like, I hear that you have all these powers. You're 110 years old. You can eat 500 loaves of bread, but I'm the ruler of this land, and I've never heard of you.
But he had heard of him.
Up until that point. Oh my God, you're such a weasel. Yes, after however many years, at least 10. I don't know exactly how many, but at least 10 years of his son being alive, because his son is the one who brought the attention to him.
Okay.
But the deity responds, deity responds, and he's like, those who come are summoned. And like, I don't have any missed calls from you. Like, you called me and now I'm here. But like, you never called me before this. So
yeah, why would he know about him?
He's like,
he was just laying on his mat eating bread. Why would you hear about that?
Living life. Having his neck. Like, imagine if your head was constantly supported by someone else and then you had to support your own head.
Oh, that would be so nice. Don't you hate when you're like sitting on your bed, leaning back, and you want to lean back into the pillows, but they're not high enough to support your head?
Oh my God. I have a blanket specifically for being like cushed in to support my head.
Yeah, yes. I sleep on my side with my head on my like half on my pillow, but then I also have to straddle a pillow to support my chin to cock my head at the perfect angle while I sleep. And if I had a person to hold my head for me, that would be much easier.
I think we sleep the same way.
Really?
Yeah, because I sleep on my right side. My head is like half on the pillow because it's like catty cornered to my head, and I put my blanket like underneath my chin, and then I straddle with my legs a really cushy pillow.
Yeah, we sleep exactly the same, except I don't have a blanket. I just use my pillow for both.
Wow.
Like head half on the pillow with another with a thinner pillow. I have my head on a thick pillow, and then I use like a thinner, floppier pillow to support my chin.
Right. I feel like a part of growing up is knowing what density of pillow you need for different things.
Yes. I have like a fat memory foam pillow and then like a floppy one, and I need those 2 pillows. Otherwise, I can't sleep.
Yeah, if I'm researching in bed, I know I need a dense pillow and then my softer pillow and then a soft pillow with the blanket on top to support the top half of me.
Yes.
It's a whole system.
I'm so glad we're on the same page about this.
Me too.
It really makes me feel like I have a connection with you.
We agree about something. I know. Finally, we're connecting after
Jesus
a year.
Christ, it's about time.
Fate said, let them be friends. Destiny said, let them be the same sleep style.
I'm just so glad that I'm not crazy. Like, do you think I'm weird the way I sleep, how I have to have a pillow like next to me?
No, not at all.
Okay, good. Because sometimes I feel bad that like I put a pillow between us and I want you to know it's not anything personal. I just need something under my chin.
No offense taken.
Completely understandable. Deity had also figured this out as well. So he tells the Pharaoh, he's like, I'm here now though. So the Pharaoh asked Deity about this whole situation that he's heard about him being able to fix chopped heads. And Deity's like, yeah, it's true. I can put, heads and bodies back together. So the Pharaoh's like, all right, go to his guards. He's like, all right, go grab a prisoner that we can execute, who's up for execution. And Deity's like, whoa. No. I didn't mean a human head.
Oh.
I've got magic fingers, but they can only get me so far.
Wow.
So they get a Nile goose instead.
Okay.
And they do execute it. They cut its head off. And its body is put out on the western side of the residence of the Pharaoh. And the severed head is put out on the eastern side. And then Deity's up to the stand. He speaks his words of magic, and the goose stood up, its body stood up and walked itself to its head and reconnected and was a full goose again.
And this absolutely 100% happened.
It's 100% true.
I believe it.
So then, the Pharaoh was like, I'm pretty sure I believe it, but let me make sure. They did the same thing with another bird, and then they did it with a bull, and Deity was able to do it again and again.
Wow.
And then Khufu asked about these secret numbers and the secret chambers and all that. Again, I'm not super clear on this. Seems complicated.
I don't think anyone is.
I don't think anyone is either. Yeah, so Deity is like, I don't know these numbers that you need, but I do know where they're kept, and I'll give you loose details. And from what I understand, he helps Khufu with these chambers in one way or another. We're not really sure. Before this tale ends, Deity makes water be somewhere like not necessarily in a drought, but like where water like falls with seasons, like water levels fall.
Yeah.
He makes water rise so that like a ship can pass or something.
Okay.
So some more magic happens. And if this story sounds like a bit of a tall tale, it's because it definitely probably is.
No.
Some people believe that it's symbolic of the movement of constellations. There's yet to be any evidence of the actual existence of Deity, but this text is widely credited as being one of the earliest instances of magic and magicians.
Cool.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But also I was thinking like, okay, so here's this text from Egypt, and these magical things happen and it's considered magicians and magic. But then I've read things in the Bible, for example, and that's like taken like that's a freaking religion. Like Noah parted the sea.
Yeah. We're like, ooh, this is a tall tale, and then, but it's interesting.
Food for thought.
Yeah,
food for thought.
Let's think about this.
It's also possible that a painting on a tomb wall at Beni Hassan depicts one of the first cups and ball magic tricks from the 21st century BCE. Alec, did you get the pictures? I totally forgot to remind you beforehand.
No, I have it pulled up.
So this depiction, it shows two people sitting and facing each other. They're both lifting cups and holding them over cups that are on the ground. Some people think that this is the first cups and ball magic trick. Like, I literally was 5 years old when I went to a birthday party and got like a little, beginner's kit to do this trick. I feel like everyone knows it. But some people think that this could also just be a game and not a magic trick. We're not really sure. The painting, much larger, depicts people also juggling. Some people are relaxing. But this is noted as possibly one of the very first images of a magic trick.
Cool.
So let's fast forward. Let's head over to Greece from Egypt. We do have much more information about magicians in later centuries. In Greece, during the 3rd century, a writer, El Chifron, you know what? I wrote down El Chifron, but again, I wasn't sure exactly what this creator was saying. So it sounded like El Chifron. But, they were in Greece, so they had a Grecian name. So
Big
I'm sorry.
Chifron.
And I searched El Chifron.
El Chifron.
And all it came up with was like police officers. And I was like, no, that's surely not right. If anything, it's wrong.
Yeah, I wonder if people ever try to search like things we talk about and like we just pronounce them poorly and so you can't.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's happened. I would love to think of an instance, but I'm too dumb right now in this moment. So let's keep moving.
Yeah, it's hard. We've had a long day.
We have had a long day. All right. So anyway, in Greece during the 3rd century, a writer describes a performer who did tricks with 3 cups and 3 pebbles, and they would make the pebbles disappear and reappear. And let's just say times were simpler then. People were their minds were blown. They loved this magic trick. And it seemed to really be the ultimate trend in magic because it's been a facet to magic ever since.
Sometimes don't you wish you could go way back in time and everyone would think everything you did was super cool and super smart?
Yeah.
Like you can just put a pebble under a cup and everyone's fascinated.
Wait till you see Alec. Go to the next picture. This one is cutting ahead a little bit, but this just like depicts the fascination that people had in the Middle Ages.
Yeah.
With again this same from Greece, like ancient Greece, the same cups and pebbles trick. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you're seeing?
Yeah, it's like, one of those European Middle Ages paintings. You know what they look like. And there's a magician at a table. He's wearing a top hat and he's holding a little pebble. Is that an owl in his basket?
It's an owl in his little basket.
And he has a cat on the floor wearing like a gimp costume.
Yeah.
You see that?
Yeah.
And then there's people all around the table like gawking in amazement and at these pebbles and cups. I'd be gawking in amazement that he has an owl in a basket.
Do you see look at the guy behind the guy in the red who's like really into it is doing?
He's pickpocketing.
Yeah, he's pickpocketing.
Classic
pickpocketer. Yeah, so magic was like here and there. I want to talk a little bit about this Roman group of magicians called let me prepare for this. The Acetabulari. That was way easier than I thought it was going to be.
Good job.
Acetabulari.
I liked the hand motion with it.
Yes, I'm like an
You're like an Italian.
I'm like an Italian. I'm like a choral instructor trying to get my brain neurons to fire.
You're using magic to coax the neurons out of your skull with your hands.
Yeah, this whole lesson is magic considering the day I've had with fucking sand being poured on the rug. Who does that?
A small child.
Like there was tile all around him, but he took 2 steps to the rug.
Yeah, it's kind of like how cats will throw up on carpet and they never want to throw up on the hardwood.
My student also threw up today.
Are you serious?
That seemed infinitesimal.
Wow, you really did have a day.
I did.
Did you send him home?
No, it's happened before. He like chugged his milk, and I didn't get to him like soon enough because like he loves his milk, and he was like chugging it, and then he's like, and like he spat up just a little bit. Like it wasn't alarming or anything.
Oh my
and
God.
Yeah. Oh shit.
I could never be a preschool teacher. I don't know how you do it.
I don't know. It's magic. It truly, truly is. But let's get back to the Cerebrale. They performed the cup and balls routine in ancient Rome for over 250 years, starting in 50 CE. And then in 65 CE, towards the end of his life, Seneca, the younger of Rome, talked about how much he enjoyed magic tricks in his 45th epistle to Lucilius. He said, such quibbles are just as harmlessly deceptive as the juggler's cup and dice, in which it is the trickery that pleases me, but show me how the trick is done, and I've lost my interest therein.
What a loser.
I relate.
'Tis the trickery that pleases me. What the fuck?
I mean, that's just like when you're dating a guy from Tinder and then you get to know who he really is and you're like, I'm good.
Yeah, that's true. You see his apartment. You're
Yeah. The first 2 dates are like, he might be the one.
Yeah.
And then the third date is like, who?
Yeah, you realize they don't clean their toilet and don't have a single vegetable in their fridge. And you're like, oh.
You're like, maybe I don't want to have your kids.
'Twas the trickery that pleased me.
Yeah, that's like me with makeup on. That's my next Instagram caption. 'Twas the trickery that pleases me. How about you? HBU, huh? Literally, though. So magic was popping until the Middle Ages. The Middle Ages were not good for pretty much everyone. Yep. But especially magicians.
Oh no.
Since people heavily associated magic with witchcraft, it was considered the work of the devil.
Of course.
So magic was definitely out, but a select few were approved by authorities to do magic tricks. So those in authority approved and allowed certain people to perform in the streets and in circuses, but they were only allowed to perform the tricks that authorities thought were harmless.
So they weren't allowed to do real magic.
Yeah.
All the real magic was banned, but you could hide a pebble under a cup.
Yeah, that's how they entice people. He's like, hey, baby, I can make you fall in love in 10 days, but not right now. What I can do is show you my pebbles. So magicians, yeah, they also had to like announce and make a case for the fact that magic was just trickery and illusions and not witchcraft, because if not, they would get burned.
Yeah.
They would get accused of witchcraft. So it was a tough time to be a magician.
Imagine having to explain that to someone.
Yeah. I mean, that's like me as a teacher being like, you know, you wear so many hats as a teacher to being a parent. You're like, I'm not a therapist. I am not a therapist.
Was that a Richard Nixon
Yes. Anyway, I don't have anything else to go to keep talking about that. But anyway, as tough as these times were to be a magician, tides did start to turn in 1854 when this guy Reginald Scott wrote a book called The Discovery of Witchcraft. And in this book, his objective was to prove to the world that witchcraft was not real. And therefore, using the transitive property, magic was not real and magic was not the work of the devil. So magicians everywhere were like, yeah, like tell him, stick it to the man. But then as they kept reading the book, they were like, oh no, because Scott exposed how many magic tricks work. And he depicted the magicians as frauds and tricksters.
So I'm confused. They weren't allowed to do magic for years because like people thought it was real magic. Why didn't they just like expose how their tricks worked and then they'd be allowed to do them?
How are they supposed to make money then? Like,
I mean, I'd still like to see a magic trick even if I knew how it worked. They could even just like tell the authorities how it worked and then do it for everybody else. I don't know. I'm definitely oversimplifying.
I guess so. You definitely are, because the masses were not like, we want to know how it's done and we want to see it.
I want to know. I want to know how it's done. I want to find Chris Angel on his deathbed and force him to tell me how he walks on water.
There's a TV show all about that, and we'll get to it.
Okay.
Anyway, good news for magicians. Most of the copies of this guy's book were burned in the 17th century.
Oh, good.
So speaking of the 17th century, there's this guy.
Wait, I thought you just said that this book came out
You're right. It was 1854. So that book came out in 1854, and then also a lot of his books were burned in 1854.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for that. Another notable person in the 17th century is William Vincent. He was a magician who performed for a ton of people, including King James of England, and his stage name was Hocus Pocus.
Oh, cute. Was he the first Hocus Pocus?
Yeah, which is where we get Hocus Pocus.
Hey, that's fun.
I thought Shakespeare invented that. No? Maybe not.
Well, maybe not, because I didn't see anything about that, but
no,
maybe.
you're probably right. I might be thinking of Double Bubble, Toil and Trouble, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, oh my God, I did terrible research on this.
You just like you grab the microphone and start bashing it into your head like Dobby.
I just shut my laptop case
on your hand. You're like,
I'm
whack.
a bad podcaster. I just
how I felt when
internally
Alec
screamed.
accused me of supporting ISIS.
That's in the past. We don't know her.
Yeah.
We don't know him, more like. All right. Well, moving on to the 18th century. Of course, this was the Age of Enlightenment. Magicians were adapting, whether they wanted to or were forced to adapt to the times. And they moved on from this dragged out old cup and balls magic trick. And they started to do tricks that were based in like scientific wonders. So things that had like electricity and things that looked like they were growing. And one source said, and this kind of led me down literally a rabbit hole, but one source said that pulling a rabbit out of a hat, like that trick, was created by a magician in Britain in the mid 1800s. They're not really sure, but they included a rabbit in their trick because there was a really high interest by the public around a woman named Mary Toft. Mary Toft told and tricked doctors and the public at wide that she had given birth to rabbits.
Oh my God, I know this story.
You do?
It's fucked up. And she was pulling like pieces of dead rabbit like out of her panties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people were really interested in rabbits.
I fucking bet.
Hold on. Can you explain that story for those of us who don't know it?
I don't know the ins and outs of it.
Oh.
I
I
saw
think
the story and I was like, that could be a whole other topic.
Oh, for sure. I think I listened to a dollop episode on that.
Yeah, I started to read the Wikipedia page because I had included this part of my notes, and then I was going back today, like, what can I expand on? And I saw the Wikipedia page for this woman, and I was like, oh, hell no, I can't do that
You
today.
should definitely do that as a topic.
Maybe that'll be a part 2 for next week.
Do
because
it. It's fucking wild.
Yeah, she said that she gave birth to rabbits. So obviously, I mean, and rabbits were really common at the time. Like everyone had a fucking farm.
Everyone had chunks of rabbit up their petticoat.
If they didn't have it up their petticoat, they definitely had it on their farm.
True.
Relatable content. That's what we're here for.
I want a rabbit.
We basically have rabbits.
No, cats are not rabbits.
They're basically rabbits.
No. Rabbits are way softer.
Well, if you brushed your cats, they might feel like a rabbit.
No, rabbits are just really soft.
Okay, but if we got a rabbit, our cats would definitely kill. Probably.
You don't know that. If it's a big enough rabbit, they might.
We're
get
not getting
along.
rabbit.
Okay.
We're not getting
Okay.
rabbit. We're not getting rabbit. Okay.
We'll get a pig.
I'm gonna ignore and move on. Okay, so the rabbits coming out of hats originated apparently from this Mary Toft woman. Stay tuned for possibly part 2. I feel like I have to do it now for next week.
You should. Don't look it up.
Don't look it up. Don't look it up. Stay tuned for next week.
You, Hayley, look it up. Everyone else, don't look it up.
Don't do it.
Don't fucking do it.
Okay.
I'm gonna get you.
So rabbits. That is now a staple in magic. Let's move on to the 19th century. This brings us to John Henry Anderson. He's also known as the Wizard of the North because he's from Scotland. And he should have called himself the Wizard of Marketing because I would say he was probably the best marketer of himself out of all of the magicians known to man. He would have definitely gone viral on TikTok. He created specialized advertisements and posters for every single city that he toured. And he performed for every single royal family in Europe, including South Russia. He also printed his own newspaper and built his own theater.
Wow.
So he's like a milestone in magic. And then that brings us after him to the father of modern magic. This is Jean-Eugène Robert Houdin, who is known as the father of modern magic. He was born in France in 1805, and everyone, including himself, expected Jean to follow in his father's footsteps and become a clockmaker. And this is how John found himself as a teenager, saving all of his money to buy books on clockmaking and how to become a clockmaker. Like you do. Instead of receiving these clockmaking books by accident, Jean actually received 2 books about magic. And since this was the 1800s, there's no just dropping off your magic books at the UPS to exchange them for your right order. So he kept the magic books and read them and quickly became obsessed with magic.
This is way better than clocks.
Yeah. He's like, I had no idea there was anything else but clocks. Instead of all the pottery from TJ Maxx in his mom's house, it says like live, laugh, love. It's live, laugh, clocks.
She has like a Ray Dunn clock that says clock.
Clock, 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 clock. Everybody. So he was much more enticed by magic than he was by clocks, and magic quickly became his personality, to be honest.
First it was clocks, now
then
it's magic.
What
What if your personality was just whatever you were currently reading a book about?
Then my personality would be about personal finance, which checks out.
Yeah, that checks out beautifully.
Are you reading anything currently?
The last book I read was the newest Twilight book. I haven't read in a while, but I feel like middle school just like was every book I read becoming my personality because
it shaped you to the person that you needed to be, and you didn't need to know anything else past that.
That's true. I stand
and
by
that confidence is intimidating.
Yes. Well, I'm Bella Swan.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So was Alec Edward, or what's going on here?
I'm a self-help guru.
Yeah. Alec reads self-help books.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess actually if we're going off the last book I read, I am state standard aligned math lessons.
Way too boring. Way too boring.
I do need like a Ray Dunn mug that just says like self-help.
Life coach.
Helping thyself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thyself.
We need to go get some just plain mugs from Hobby Lobby and do that this
We
weekend.
do,
That's
yeah.
what we should do this weekend.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's
Because we
paint
already talked
pottery.
about it. So
Yeah.
let's actually do what we say we're
Good idea. I saw a video the other day, and these people like went and bought like really ugly artwork from Goodwill and then like painted it and made it like fun and funny.
That sounds really
We
fun
should do that too.
We should make a bucket list because our summer is shortened.
Yeah,
this year.
it's hella short.
So we should make a bucket list to really make the most of it while also relaxing and doing fun, refreshing things.
Yeah, I'm down.
All right, add it to the bucket list. Okay, let me get back into my notes here. Okay, yeah, like I was saying, these magic books quickly overtook Jean's life. He was practicing magic every waking moment of his life, and he sought out mentorship from a local magician named Mouse.
Mouse?
Help me! Help me!
Is it spelled like mouse?
It's spelled Maous.
Mouse.
Mouse.
Mouse?
Mouse's day job was being a doctor, which, as we all know, in the 1800s was just a waiting game. So he had plenty of time at night to do magic as his hobby. And lucky for Jean, Mouse was able to help him master the basics of magic, like sleight of hand and eye coordination tricks. And Jean-Eugene Robert Houdini performed magic in a type of wizard battle. Okay, so the French government sent him, Napoleon Bonaparte sent Jean Houdini to Algeria because at the time, the French were fighting Algerian warriors who thought they were invincible, thanks to illusions that their chieftains would perform, such as halting fire from a French rifle. So they were like, we're unstoppable. And Houdini went to Algeria and he challenged the warriors by asking the strongest man in the group to lift a wooden chest. And he was like, all right, I'll fucking lift your wooden chest. And he lifted it, no problem. And then Houdini was like, do it again. And he went to do it again and he could not do it. With all his strength, he could not do it. That was not because he took all of their strength away, as he said he did with magic. It was actually because of electromagnetism.
Ooh.
Yeah. Again, this is that science that we're seeing being embedded into these magic tricks and illusions. So the Algerian soldiers were low on morale, and eventually their presence in that area diminished, and there was no war between these Algerian soldiers and the French. So it was like kind of like, it's like a wink, like, yeah, he stopped a war from happening, kinda, but not quite, but kinda.
Wait, he stopped the war from happening?
Basically, with his magic, he lowered their morale. He took their strength away. Okay. So they were all like, well, what are we gonna do?
Okay.
Like they just hit the road, basically.
Interesting.
Yeah. Jean-Eugene Robert Houdini tells us that he made being a magician less of a weird thing to do or an outlandish thing to do. Before him, magicians were known to wear these long black coats and these pointy hats with stars on them, kind of like what you would imagine a wizard to wear. It sounds cool to us now, or at least to me now, but it was really weird back then. And they would use these weird looking props. But Jean brought a much more modern approach to the magic game. He was dressing in suits and using everyday items as props. Sounds great, right? Like he stopped a war, he modernized magic. But the really funny thing is that he definitely was the father of modern magic, but this description of him being like revolutionary, although it is popular, it is a complete exaggeration that he started.
Yeah.
He wrote his memoirs and made himself look really good.
It's easy to make yourself look good.
Yeah, he looked really fucking cool in his memoirs.
We should start trying to make ourselves look good on this podcast.
We need to
we're doing the opposite.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
You'll start yours like, I was not a horse girl.
I saw a TikTok today that was like, you weren't bullied for being a horse girl. You were bullied for winning at people in the hall. Like, be honest.
Tell us.
Guilty.
Did you win?
In elementary school, certainly. Not middle school. I was weird in middle school, but not that weird.
I feel like I'm missing this piece where you went from horse girl to who you are now. Like I'm there's a disconnect for me in my mind.
I think I started reading 17 magazine and started being told that if I ever wanted a boy to like me, I had to be normal.
You're like, what the hell? There's nothing about horses in here.
Right. Yeah, horses aren't cool. Okay, I guess I'll lose my whole personality.
Oh no. Like one day I'll find a boyfriend and best friend who will dress up as horses and sexual predators.
Shut up.
Mr. Hands.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, never mind. I thought you were going to accuse me of dressing up as a horse for sexual reasons, which I have never done. If you want to do it, go ahead, but that's not for me.
Well, I will say that I fully support you being a horse girl, and
thank you.
I love it. I'm here for it.
I still really enjoy a good horse. Like, they're cool and I like them.
I would start my section of it being like, I was the homecoming and prom queen. And that's facts.
Yeah. How did we become friends?
Because me being homecoming and prom queen was an accident, a magical accident.
It really wasn't.
I wish I could freaking put that on my resume.
You should.
I should. Let's see what happens.
You guys need like the memoir with you guys like with your heads on your hands, and it's called like Failing Up, and you're wearing your tiara and you're wearing like a horse like thing like in your mouth. Oh my
God. We should get you extensions like really cheap and then cut them to look like a mane, and then like pin your hair back to look like a real...
Great idea, Hayley. That sounds so fun for me.
I'm trying to make me look good and you look bad. That's
I can tell.
Just outwardly, that's what we're doing.
You're like, I'll wear my tiara and you can wear a fucked up wig that makes you look like a horse.
But you're so pretty that like we need to take you down a level and we need to like bring me up a level.
Oh,
so it's
right. Okay, I get it now. Okay.
You get it. Okay, we're on the same page. Wonderful, darling. Okay, back to Jean Eugene Robert Houdini. Yeah, so he made himself look really good, as we're going to one day in our memoirs. And a lot of people read his memoirs, and that's how his legend became so extraordinary and also a little far-fetched, but that's okay. Every memoir probably should be. And to give credit where credit is due, he was a really dope magician. He did a lot of great things. He was very inventive in his magic tricks. And amongst his other magic tricks, he created the growing orange tree illusion that has been recreated countless times. If you're not familiar with it, basically it looks like a tree is growing in front of you, like right before your eyes.
That's cool.
It's like the leaves bloom and then the oranges pop out.
How does he do that?
So it's since he was trained as like, you know, his dad was a clockmaker, it's all clockwork. So he starts the clock with the gears, and from what I understand or what I'm assuming, it's like paper kind of like as it's attached to the gears, and paper comes out of the limbs and looks like the leaves, and then as it keeps going it keeps releasing more paper. It's like a paper tree that eventually looks like an orange tree is blooming.
So it's kind of like a set prop in a play.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was really cool and people loved it and still do. And magic really started to become popular in the 1800s, the late 1800s, and the early 1900s. Magicians were coming up with new content and people were like, just shut up and take my money. In 1905, a group of magicians founded a new magic club in Britain called the Magic Circle. And it made me think of ringworm.
I got some right here.
Looks
on
red
my
still.
hand.
Red
It
but
is.
better. On the up and up.
Yep, we're on the mend. Only 6 more months to go before it's healed.
Before I get my next bout of ringworm.
Right. I'm convinced it's never going away.
Yeah, it's just something you have to deal with.
Right. It's fine. It's just a little rash.
Yeah.
What's
it's
the worst that
fine.
could happen? I give it to everyone I touch.
You better
it's
not.
all over my armpits.
No.
Yeah. Both of them.
Yeah. And she
How,
found it on her
though?
finger, and we were like, maybe you were tickling me. You were tickle torturing me, and now it is on my armpits.
Both of you never touch me again.
Never.
Like, we don't touch ever typically, but like if you do, it's over.
You're wearing your tiara, talking to the horse girl, and like,
Like, don't you dare touch me. Don't ever touch me again.
prom queen, horse girl, and podcast boyfriend. Don't ever touch me.
This is the coolest I've ever felt. I have to be honest. Just kidding. I don't like bringing others down. You guys are cool.
Shut up.
Not as cool as me.
You
You're
love-
cool.
You have a
love
sash
bringing
that
others
says
down.
ringworm free.
Ringworm vaccinated. No jock itch here.
I'm just a horse girl infected with ringworm. I accept myself for who I am.
I'm just a horse girl infected with ringworm.
I'm just a horse girl infected with ringworm.
I was a horse girl. He was infected with ringworm. Can I make it any more obvious?
Horse girl, take me somewhere where we don't have worms.
This is a really fun game, you guys. I'm having so much
Wide
fun.
open horse girl. Room to make a big ringworm.
I
What a
have
stupid bit.
I have ideas in my head, but I'm not gonna do them because I don't like this game.
Is it because you're not confident in your ideas?
Touch you with my ringworm.
Oh my gosh, thanks for being a good sport because that was funny.
I'm being bullied.
I know, like,
And I need
literally
help.
on camera and recorded. Like, we could be arrested.
I'm being both cyber bullied and in-person bullied at the same time right now.
They're like, okay, which came first, in person or cyber? Because we do not care about in person, but cyberbullying. If you got the evidence,
We'll make you sit through a PowerPoint about that.
you got the evidence. We got the cuffs. That sounds like a country song, like a spoof country song.
And it sounds like that spoof country artist that Alec likes, and it's like about BDSM.
Yeah,
Like it starts out, you think it's about like cops and Law and Order, and then like they just get really freaky.
We should email or DM that guy because I think we've got something brewing here.
What's his name? Alec?
Wheeler Walker Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be called like Blue Lives Matter, and it would be about like being fucked by a cop.
Blue Lives Matter in parentheses to me.
Yeah.
Blue Lives Matter in the butt.
Butt Lives Matter. Which they do. I stand by
Yeah.
that. Butt Lives Matter.
Mine does.
Okay, so anyway, back to the Magic Circle, not Ringworm. It was a magic club in Britain. Many great magicians have come out of this club since its opening, but something really revolutionary happened. They made this huge decision to let women into this magic club. magic club into this magic club after some time if you met specific requirements. Please guess what year they allowed females to join this club. And again, it was opened in 1905 as a reminder.
1956.
No. Do you want to try again? Or do you want me to tell you?
High or low?
Low. You're
Okay.
low.
1974. 1998.
1991.
Holy shit. Oh my God. Okay.
1991. This club was open for almost 100 years before they let women join in 1991. Like, was that legal? I don't know.
Yeah, it was legal. And I wish I could say I'm surprised, but that's like the least surprising thing I've heard all day.
I was both surprised and unsurprised. I was surprised that it took so long, but I was unsurprised that it even happened.
Yeah, I mean, like, you can't legally force people to, like, it's like, it's our fucking club. Like, women can't join the freaking...
But it was a business. Like, it was a club. People were performing there.
Oh, yeah, I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying, like, that shit happens all the time.
Worked.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 1991, they let women in. Requirements for joining, you had to apply. You had to be supported by 2 magicians who are already in the club and they've already known you for at least 1 year. You had to go through an interview at their headquarters. You had to perform magic tricks. You had to take an exam. You had to write a thesis and you had to maintain your membership fees varying now. I don't know what it was like back then. I think I read something that it was like $300, but now you can join this club with membership fees varying from $32 US to $280 based on your age and your club like subscription. The Magic Circle was a huge deal, but there was even a more exclusive circle within the circle. That was known as the Inner Magic Circle. In my notes, I have in parentheses vagina/butthole joke that I did not
That you
write, but
didn't
I thought that was funny. And I guess that is the joke.
Bravo.
Thank you.
That was magic.
I didn't feel like I could read that and comprehend that without like saying it to you. Like I felt like it
I
needed
feel
to
like
be
you
shared.
wanted me to make a vagina or butthole joke, and I just wasn't ready.
Well, now's your chance.
Pull a rabbit out of her magician's inner circle. I don't know.
There we go. Okay, that's good. Yeah, I meant to like maybe
Mary
add something
Taft or
funny
whatever
there.
the fuck her name is.
Yeah. But I didn't. Anyway, okay, so this Inner Magic Circle, it's limited to 300 members maximum, and their basic membership allows members to add suffixes to their names, such as, so like mine, my alter ego would be Holly Sancha, of course, but if I were in the Inner Magic Circle, it would be Holly Sancha, member of the Inner Magic Circle, in parentheses, MIMC. Just like as if you went to like a school to get, yeah. And so that's the inner circle.
Do you know that like stupid meme is like Miss or Mrs. and she's like doctor? What if they're like Miss or Mrs. like MIMC?
I think that's better. I think that that's what it needs to be now. I'll pay $32 per year to be an MIMC. I'm going to put that on a resume. I have so many things to add to my resume after this.
Oh my God,
episode.
your resume is going to be so good.
Ballin'. So thanks to this club and just magic and magicians gaining popularity in general, new superstar magicians are popping up all over the place at the turn of the century, not just in the magic circle. There was this guy, John Henry Pepper, who created the illusion called Pepper's Ghost, where they could make a figure appear on stage, but they were actually under the stage. So it's kind of like a hologram. Alec, if you can pull up the next picture, Kat, if you could describe what you're seeing. I don't know the exact mechanics of it, by the way.
Oh, so it looks like there's a projector under the stage and he's like casting like some kind of a shadow, and then there's a giant like pane of glass diagonally like over it. So there's like a hole in the stage, and then the glass like reflects his projected shadow onto the stage.
Yeah.
It's very hard to explain, and I don't really understand how that works.
I don't either. Most people didn't, which made it highly popular. It made it appear as if a figure was on the stage when they actually weren't, meaning that you could like cut through them or like, you know, do things to them when you actually weren't.
Yeah, not gonna lie, that would get me.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
This method was used in 2012 at Coachella to make Tupac appear alive and on stage with Snoop Dogg.
That was the hologram?
Yeah. Go to the next slide, please, Alec. So
they had someone under the stage pretending to be Tupac, like a Tupac lookalike?
It was like it used the technology that they did. I think that was actually Tupac, but they used the technology. So I think that they like projected instead of having an actual person, but they projected it from underneath the stage.
Okay, I see it. And like reflected it on a mirror.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool.
So it's still being used to this day. So again, magicians are getting smarter and smarter, and they're leveling up. You know, they've really moved on after hundreds of years of using cups and balls to using, you know, different things. Peppers, ghosts. Bautier de Colta created the disappearing lady illusion. This became highly copied in magic. Alec, you can go to the next slide, please. I think we all know the disappearing lady where it looks like she's in, you know, several different boxes and parts of her body disappears. In 1912, Eric Weiss performed his illusion of the water-filled torture cell. Can you click to the next slide? So here we see someone in a cell that's full of water. And if this name doesn't ring a bell, it's because Eric Weiss went by the stage name Henry Houdini. And Harry Houdini. Yeah, sorry. I literally wrote Henry Houdini in my notes. Yes, Harry Houdini. And that was his stage name. Harry Houdini's name for his stage and performing came from Jean Eugene Robert Houdin, who we learned about earlier. He was a big fan of his magic work and really looked up to him growing up, and he aspired to be like him. But in later years, he ended up hating Robert Houdin. This is kind of murky. So Harry Houdini accused Houdin of stealing other magicians' magic tricks and even wrote an entire book in 1908 called The Unmasking of a Robert Houdin.
Harry Houdini loved to stir the fucking pot and like expose people. It's low-key what he lived for.
Yeah, if he wasn't in the limelight, he wasn't alive.
Yeah. He was petty as fuck, and I love him.
Yeah, we should do a whole lesson on Harry Houdini.
Yeah, on just his like pettiness.
Yeah. In his book, Houdini describes his excitement to potentially be as great as Robert Houdin one day and his disillusionment later in life. One quote from the book that I found in the fourth paragraph on the first page of the book said, okay, so he himself, Harry Houdini, was stripped of his self-woven veil of romance. Robert Houdin stood forth in the uncompromising light of cold, historical facts. A mere pretender, a man who waxed great on the brain work of others, a mechanician who had boldly leached the inventions of the master craftsman among his predecessors.
Burn.
We don't know what half you said was, but clearly it's a burn. Yeah. And again, this is on his first page of the book. So like he goes in hard. I did not read the whole book, but I read the introduction and
I read the first paragraph.
I read the first 4 paragraphs.
Wow.
Yes,
that's
ma'am.
impressive.
Yes, ma'am. So yeah, they had beef. It is said that later in life, Houdini regretted writing all that stuff. So that's why I say that it's murky. I feel like that could be a whole like celebrity feud lesson, if you will, kind of like I did with like Tesla and Edison.
Yeah.
So we'll save that for another time. But obviously, we all know Houdini reached fame and fortune as a magician / escape artist. And moving on from Houdini, in 1920, the illusion of sawing a person in half was performed for the first time by P.T. Selbit. That has been a huge magic trick since then. And life is always evolving. That included magic. To keep things spicy, magicians started doing more sleight of hand tricks again, kind of reverting back to what was more popular in previous centuries. And they're doing a lot more up close magic with a lot of cards involved. And of course, what goes up must come down. Magic is ever evolving, but in that, it's really just a pattern of what's popular. So in the 80s, really big, dramatic magic was back. And this is when David Copperfield made the Statue of Liberty disappear on live TV. And have you seen that?
No.
Oh my gosh. Okay. This was huge. People across the nation tuned in to see him do this. Can we watch it? Do we have time?
Yeah.
I know this is a long episode already, but I think that this would be cool.
Okay, it's dark and the Statue of Liberty is there.
The Statue of Liberty, standing 305 feet high and weighing 450,000 pounds. And I was going to make her disappear. We constructed 2 scaffolding towers on Liberty Island in front of the statue, and had a helicopter to give an aerial view of the illusion. The audience on Liberty Island was seated here, 200 feet in front of the statue. A circle of lights surrounds the statue and shines upon it. A curtain would be raised between the towers to hide the statue from view. If I successfully vanished the statue, searchlights would pass through the empty space that was occupied just moments before. We even had radar to show the statue's position. In front of a live audience on Liberty Island, the disappearance of the Statue of Liberty. Right about now, I'm thinking, I hope this works.
How did he do that?
It was, from what I understand, I think it was the lighting and the positioning.
Interesting.
So obviously he did not actually make the Statue of Liberty disappear.
Yeah.
But it seemed to everyone watching those live and through the TV that he did.
Yeah.
And that's just the magic of magic. You know, I feel like most people, at least I hope, know that it's not real magic. It's all an illusion. And that's really what's become more mainstream in modern times, is that like the term magician is becoming outdated, as they're like, you know, this isn't magic. It's all, you know, it's a sleight of hands. It's, you know, it's all an illusion. So they're going more towards the terms of like illusion artists.
Yeah.
So that was a huge event back in the 80s. And in the 90s, this brings us to the Masked Magician TV show. And this TV show divulged the most top secret magic secrets on the show for 2 years. This masked magician, he always wore a mask, no one knew his identity, would perform magic tricks all of them and then explain exactly how he did it. And magicians were obviously pissed, and he didn't even speak himself. The magician didn't on this show. They actually had Mitch Pileggi from X-Files. He's the guy who voices for X-Files. He voiced over all of the explanations.
Wow.
The magician was a complete secret, but he knew how to do all of these tricks for 2 years.
Dang.
They produced and put out The Masked Magician.
He's just in like some magician club, and they're like, Mike, where do you suddenly get a Range Rover? Like, why do you have all this money?
Right. I thought you only had 2 rabbits. Now you have 40. What the fuck?
What's going on, man?
You were sworn under oath. Literally, they swear them under oath to keep
Yeah.
the secrets. And the inner circle was pissed. The masked magician didn't care because, like, you know, we hinted towards money talks. On the show's finale, though, he revealed his true identity. Val Valentino was revealed as the masked magician, and he insisted that he aired all the secrets to reignite the public's interest in magic. So whether you think of a magician as someone in a tux with a goatee and a top hat, or the local guy at your pizza parlor who wears a vest and a flat cap, magic is magical, I suppose. Magic is magical. It depends on the viewer. It is all an illusion, but it has a very long, deep history. This really just scratched the surface of it, but I learned a lot this week. I hope you did too. I hope maybe you can drop some fun facts on your friends. And that is my lesson.
Thank you. That was so much fun. Thank you for brightening the mood after
I know that
all we've been
contrast
through.
was
Yeah.
intense. Oh, let me cite my sources real quick. Okay, so I had the historic mysteries, history from magic from dark to pop entertainment, the ancient architects on YouTube, Art of Impossible, the history of magic and magicians in 10 minutes, history.com, themagiccircle.co.uk, Wikipedia, and the unmasking of Robert Houdini by Harry Houdini.
Thank you. That was so good.
And
now
now quite a balance lesson.
Yeah, it was balanced. It was long.
Yeah, thank you for sticking with us. If you're still here, you guys are amazing.
The real MVP. I'm barely sticking with it. I'm so
I know,
freaking
right?
tired. But I'm kind of ready to go home and watch The Masked Magician.
All right, let's do it.
All right, let's friggin' do it. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you enjoyed this, please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on social media. And most importantly, tell a friend about us. Thank you so much for listening. And 3, 2, 1, class dismissed.